In the stillness of a small village nestled between rolling hills and golden fields, a cry pierced the night. A newborn had arrived, tiny, fragile, yet wrapped in a light so gentle, even the nurse whispered in awe, "This child is watched." Little did anyone know, that very night, a heavenly gate shimmered above the sky. From it descended a being of light, soft feathered wings, eyes deep as eternity, an angel with one mission, to protect, to guide, and to love a soul still new to the world. Her name was Myrrel, one of the guardians of the young, chosen to accompany children deemed luminous. These are the ones sent with divine whispers in their hearts, born to heal, to awaken, to remember. The child's name was Elior, meaning, God is my light. But Elior was no ordinary child. By age 3, he could see things others couldn't, shadows that whispered doubt, and lights that sang comfort. He once told his mother, "Mommy, don't be sad, Myrrel says your tears are seeds, and flowers will grow." His mother wept harder, not in sorrow, but wonder. She had never spoken the angel's name. How could he know? In heaven's scrolls, it is written that children under 7 are closest to the divine. Their souls still echo the melodies of the stars. Their laughter resonates like a hymn in the courts of heaven. But in Elior's case, that connection was even deeper. Each night, when the world lay sleeping, Myrrel would unfold her wings and sit beside Elior's bed, whispering stories of courage, of other children across the earth, and the invisible battle they fought daily, not with swords, but with purity, joy, and kindness. Children, she told him, are heaven's lanterns. When they laugh, demons flee. When they forgive, chains break. When they believe, the earth shifts. One night, Elior asked, "Then why do some children cry alone?" Myrrel looked away, her wings trembling slightly. "Because not all can hear us. Not all remember the light. But you, Elior, you will help them remember." From that moment on, Elior's purpose awakened. The wind carried something strange that spring, a warmth that wrapped around the heart like a lullaby only heaven could compose. And in the little village of Arelon, the same one where Elior lived, change began to stir. It started with whispers, children speaking of dreams they couldn't explain, lights dancing above their cribs, invisible hands wiping their tears. But for Elior, it was no surprise. Myrrel had told him this would happen. "There are others like you," she had whispered one night, her wings shimmering in the moonlight like silver waves. "Children who were born remembering, not just the world below, but the world above. They are scattered like starlight across the earth. And soon, they'll begin to wake." Elior, now 6, spent his days sitting beneath the ancient tree at the edge of the village, an old sycamore with roots that whispered secrets to those who listened. He often sat cross-legged, palms up, eyes closed, not in play, but in prayer. It was there he met Layla, a girl with hair like firelight and eyes like dusk. She wandered to the tree one afternoon, clutching a sketchbook filled with drawings of wings and halos. "You see them too?" she asked, without even introducing herself. Elior looked up slowly. "You dream of them?" Layla nodded. "Every night. One of them says her name is Serapha. She hums songs I don't know, but they make me feel safe." Elior smiled. "Then she's real." From that day on, the tree became more than a hiding place, it became a gathering place. One by one, more children came. A boy named Jalen who could hear voices in the wind. A girl named Mira who knew when someone was hurting just by touching their hand. A silent boy named Tomas who hadn't spoken in years but began to draw angels after seeing Elior once. They called themselves the Circle of Light. But they weren't just playing. Myrrel had told Elior this group would be important. "You are the lighthouse, Elior. But the sea is vast. You'll need more than one flame to bring them all home." At night, Myrrel shared stories of guardian angels stationed over war zones, whispering courage into tiny hearts. Of orphan children held by unseen arms while they slept. Of a little girl in a hospital bed who, with her last breath, smiled and whispered, "They're singing to me." "The world," Meryl said, "is not as silent as it seems." Elior asked, "Why don't grown-ups hear them too?" "They did, once," she answered. "But as their minds grew, the noise of the world drowned out the whispers of heaven. Pain deafened them. Fear blinded them. Only faith can reopen the door. And children still have it." Meryl nodded. "Not all. But many. And those who do, become bridges." Elior thought deeply. "So we're not just children. We're messages." "You're living letters," Meryl said. "Written by God. Delivered in love." One cloudy morning, Layla ran to the tree, breathless. "You have to come. There's a boy. In the woods. He's hurt. But something's wrong." They all followed her, silent and serious. The boy lay near the riverbank, curled up. Mud on his skin. A swollen eye. Ripped clothes. He flinched when Mira reached out. "What happened?" she asked softly. But the boy said nothing. He only looked up at Elior, and burst into tears. Then Tomas knelt beside him and, with shaking hands, drew a picture in the dirt, a man with a raised belt. A mother lying still. A house on fire. Jalen turned away, his fists clenched. "He's seen darkness," Layla whispered. Elior stepped forward, his voice calm. "You're safe now." "What's your name?" "Micah," the boy whispered. "They told me to run." "Who told you?" Micah's eyes widened. 3 voices. In the wind. They said, "Go to the river. They'll find you." The children looked at each other. This was no coincidence. Meryl appeared later that night, tears in her eyes. "He was meant to die," she said. "But heaven stepped in. And you, Elior, you and the others, you became the hands of God today." "But we're just kids," he replied. "No," she corrected. "You are soldiers of light. The smallest torches burn brightest in the dark." Later that week, a letter arrived in Elior's dreams. Not paper. Not words. A vision. He stood before a throne of stars. 12 children stood beside him, each holding a flame. Around them, a great war waged, a war not with guns, but with silence, shame, and fear. On the other side, shadowy figures whispered lies into sleeping hearts. But the children? They sang. Their voices rose like choirs, their songs piercing the clouds, awakening cities. And Meryl's voice echoed in his mind, "This is the true war. Not of nations, but of souls. And children, those who still remember, are heaven's secret weapon." Elior woke, gasping. He understood now. The circle wasn't just a group of gifted friends. It was a divine assignment. A rebellion of innocence in a world losing its way. Over the next months, the circle grew. Children from nearby villages began to arrive. Some said they were drawn. Others had dreams of the old tree. A girl who hadn't walked since birth stood and walked toward it one dawn. A deaf boy heard laughter by its roots. Even adults began to wonder. "What are these children doing there?" one elder asked. "They sit in silence for hours." "They're praying," said another. Or, something like it. Some laughed. Others grew suspicious. But Elior knew, opposition would come. Meryl warned, "Not everyone loves the light, Elior. Some hate what they've forgotten. And those who fear the pure will try to dim it. Then what do we do? Shine brighter." One evening, as the sun dipped below the hills, Meryl sat beside Elior beneath the tree. "You're changing, Elior. You're becoming more than a messenger." "What am I becoming?" Meryl smiled. "A shepherd." He looked at the children chasing fireflies, laughing. Then at Micah, now smiling for the first time in weeks. I just want them to be safe, Elior said. They will be, Myrrel promised. Because heaven is not far. It walks beside you, breathes with you. And through children like you, it touches earth. And in that moment, the stars blinked a little brighter. The wind hummed a lullaby only the innocent could hear. And deep within the tree's roots, the earth itself began to remember. Heaven had not forgotten the world. It was returning, one child at a time. It began with fog. Thick. Heavy. Wrong. It rolled into the village just before sunrise, blanketing the fields and homes with a silence that felt unnatural. Birds didn't sing. Dogs didn't bark. Even the wind stood still. Elior stood at his window, heart pounding. Something was wrong. Myrrel had warned him days before, her wings unusually still. They know now. The enemy. The circle's light has pierced the veil. And when light shines, shadows wake. He thought he was ready. He was wrong. That morning, children from the circle came to the tree with unease in their eyes. Layla had barely slept. Jalen said he heard screaming in his dreams. Tomasa's drawings were darker, figures with empty faces, hands reaching from beneath the earth. Even Mira, always peaceful, held back tears. I felt something, she whispered. A cold hand, on my shoulder. But when I turned, no one was there. Elior looked toward the old tree. Its branches drooped lower than usual. The air felt thick. Even the sky above seemed dimmer. The world was shifting. That night, Myrrel appeared, not in soft light, but in blinding fire. Her eyes glowed with fierce urgency. The enemy has sent one of their own, she said. A watcher. A fallen. He goes by many names, but here, he'll come as a friend. Elior blinked. A friend? Yes, she said. He will wear charm like perfume. He'll speak of safety, of order, of power. But he will twist the light. That's how they work. Not with brute force, but corruption. What does he want? Myrrel hesitated. He wants the children to forget who they are. That's all it takes. Once they forget, they fall asleep again. And when children of light sleep, the world sinks deeper into night. Elior clenched his fists. We won't let him. Myrrel touched his shoulder gently. Then prepare your heart. Because the battle isn't just around you, it's inside you. The next day, a man arrived in the village. His name was Damaris. He was dressed in all white, his smile charming, his voice smooth as silk on still water. I've heard of these special children, he said to the villagers. I'm from the Academy of Inner Light. We work with gifted young ones. Give them structure. Direction. Real power. At first, the adults were intrigued. He spoke with eloquence. He promised opportunity. He claimed to understand the divine spark. But Myrrel's voice echoed in Elior's mind, he will speak of power, but not purpose. Damaris requested a gathering at the village square. The circle came, hesitant. You are not just children, he told them. You are chosen. But look at you, playing in fields, wasting potential. You could move mountains, if you knew how. He smiled at Elior. You, for example. The leader. You could command thousands, Elior. Teach them. Rule them. Wouldn't that be beautiful? Elior's heart pounded. But Mira tugged his sleeve. Her voice trembled, he feels cold. Layla clutched her sketchbook tighter. I saw him in a dream, she whispered. His eyes were empty. That night, Damaris approached Elior alone, just beneath the tree. I know what you see, Elior. I see it too, he said, eyes narrowing. You don't have to carry this weight alone. You're young. You shouldn't bear the fate of others. He reached into his coat and pulled out a glowing crystal. With this, he said, you can silence fear. End pain. Control outcomes. Imagine, no more sorrow. No more doubt. Elior's hand moved unconsciously toward it. But then Miral appeared, towering, radiant, fierce. Enough. Damaris didn't flinch. He smiled. Ah, the bird of heaven, he purred. Still playing nursemaid to fragile minds, Miral stood between Elior and Damaris, her wings ablaze with light. You have no claim here, Damaris. But I do, he whispered. He hesitated. Elior froze. It was true. He had hesitated. Miral turned to Elior, her voice suddenly softer. It's okay to be afraid, Elior. That makes you human. But don't let fear decide who you become. Damaris vanished into the mist, but his poison lingered. Doubt. 2 days later, the village square erupted in chaos. Children from outside the circle began to mock them. You think you're special, you think you see angels, prove it. It was working. Damaris hadn't needed to stay, his whispers spread like wildfire. Some parents forbade their children from going to the tree. Others warned of strange beliefs. Even Jalen's own father dragged him home, shouting, "You'll grow up normal, boy." None of this fantasy. The circle began to wither. Elior stood beneath the tree, alone for the first time in months. Tears welled in his eyes. Had he failed? Was this what Miral meant? Then came a voice, so gentle, so familiar. Do you remember the stars, Elior? He turned. It was Micah, the broken boy they'd once rescued. But now, Micah stood strong, glowing faintly. He held a small pendant in his hand, a circle with wings. You gave me hope, he said. Don't let them take yours. Elior walked to the top of the hill and knelt. He prayed, not for strength, but for remembrance. God, remind me who I am. And then, the sky opened. Not with thunder, but with song. Dozens of angels descended, unseen to many, but blinding to the few who could still believe. Layla returned first, drawn by a melody. Then Jalen, bruised but smiling. Then Mira, holding her mother's hand, who now also saw a faint glow above the tree. One by one, the circle reformed. But this time, they brought faith with them, not only their own, but those who had once forgotten. Even some adults knelt and wept, eyes widened by visions they'd not seen since childhood. Miral stood behind Elior, radiant. You've done more than resist, Elior, she said. You've ignited a revival. That night, Elior stood beneath the stars. He looked at his hands. Small, trembling, human. Yet in them pulsed something eternal. He wasn't just a boy. He was a message. A melody. A doorway. And he wasn't alone. All around the world, other circles had begun to form, children waking, angels watching, heaven breathing. The war wasn't over. But the light had spread. And darkness would never again sleep in peace. The sky was too still. Even the birds refused to sing. For days, the circle had grown stronger, children returning, faith rising, visions becoming clearer. The old tree had begun to bloom again, even though it wasn't spring. Some called it a miracle. Others still called it madness. But Miral warned Elior, when light increases, the enemy does not retreat. He recalculates. That night, Tomas, the silent boy with the gifted hands, fell ill. He collapsed without warning. And when they visited him, something was wrong. His eyes were open, but vacant. His body breathed, but his spirit was missing. He's here, whispered Mira, her hands shaking. But he's trapped. Layla tried drawing beside him. Her sketches blurred into black smudges. Even her hands trembled, the lines turning jagged. Jalen covered his ears, saying he heard screaming, but not with his ears. It's like, someone is crying from inside stone, he muttered. Elior knew. This wasn't a sickness. It was a siege. Tomasa's soul had been taken captive. That night, Myrrel appeared grim-faced. This has gone beyond whispers, she said. A gate was opened. Someone allowed fear to anchor darkness into this world. Tomasa's soul is caught in the veil. The veil? Elior asked. The realm between waking and sleep. Between earth and eternity. A place where lost souls wander, and where demons lurk to devour what still shines. Elior stepped forward. Take me there. Myrrel shook her head. It's not for the living. But I'm not going alone, am I? Myrrel hesitated. Then, from the heavens, came another light. And from it stepped Archangel Raphael, cloaked in green fire, eyes like piercing clarity. The boy speaks truth, Raphael declared. The child Tomas carries a divine echo. He must not be lost. Elior's knees trembled. Will I survive it? He asked. Raphael smiled faintly. If you walk in fear, no. But if you walk in love, you'll burn brighter than death. They formed a circle around Tomas, Layla, Mira, Jalen, Micah, and Elior. Each placed a hand on his chest, and Myrrel placed one hand above them all. Close your eyes, she whispered. Follow the hum of heaven. A warm glow began to rise. Their bodies trembled. The world faded. Suddenly, darkness. Not black. Worse. Absence. They opened their eyes into a gray world of echoes. Fog choked the air. Shadows slithered between broken trees and twisted buildings. Nothing was whole. Everything was half-remembered. And there, in the distance, they heard it. A boy's weeping. Tomas. But he wasn't alone. Figures circled him, tall, gaunt, cloaked in rags of despair. Their mouths whispered lies, you're forgotten. You're unworthy. No one is coming. Elior stepped forward. That's enough. The shadows paused. Then, one of them turned, its face featureless, only a mouth stitched shut. Another whispered, you have no place here, child of dust. But Myrrel descended like a torch, wings alight. This soul is under heaven's seal, she roared. The figures screamed. And the battle began. Not with swords. But with songs. Layla began to sing, a lullaby she had heard from Serapha. It was soft, gentle, pure. The shadows hissed, retreating. Micah stepped forward, whispering prayers. Mira placed her hands on Tomas, her palms glowing faintly. Jalen cried out words he didn't even understand, but they burned like fire. And Elior he walked into the center, toward Tomas's trembling form, and whispered, you are loved. The shadows screamed. A chasm opened beneath them. And from above, Raphael descended in full radiance. His voice thundered, return, soul of Tomas, by the authority of light. With a burst of glory, Tomas opened his eyes, within the veil. He saw them. He remembered. And with a final cry, he stood. And the veil shattered. Back in the world, the children gasped awake. Tomas coughed violently, and then cried. Real, human tears. I thought I was alone, he sobbed. Elior hugged him. You never were. Outside, the sun rose. But it wasn't just another dawn. Something had shifted. In that moment, the veil between heaven and earth thinned, just for a second. Some villagers claimed they heard singing. Others saw the sky shimmer. And one elderly woman whispered, I felt, young again. The story of Tomas spread far. Not by words, but by presence. He smiled more. He painted again, but this time, with colors no one had seen before. Some said his paintings carried light. Others said they could smell flowers while looking at them. One canvas simply glowed. Mira began to heal faster. Layla's drawings began to whisper truths to those who looked. And Elior, he knew the war wasn't over. But he had tasted victory. And that meant something more dangerous than power, hope. That night, Mira sat beside Elior again. "You have crossed where few dare," she said. Elior stared at the stars. "Will they come for us again?" "Yes," she whispered. "But you won't be children for long." He looked at her. "I don't want to grow up if it means forgetting all this." She smiled. "Then don't grow up. Grow deeper. And teach others to do the same." And high above them, the constellations danced. Because a boy had walked into darkness. And brought someone home. It came softly. A night unlike any other. No wind. No owls. No rustling leaves. Only stillness, like the entire universe had paused to listen. Elior sat beneath the tree. Alone. Or so he thought. Until the sky cracked open, not violently, but as a curtain drawn with reverence. Stars rearranged into patterns ancient and holy. Light cascaded, not blinding, but embracing. And then, a trumpet sound no ear had ever heard, yet every soul understood. Mira appeared, her wings immense, radiant beyond words. But she wasn't alone. Archangel Michael descended in armor of burning sapphire, sword drawn. Gabriel followed, wings layered in scripture light, every feather inscribed with prophecy. Then Raphael, who had once led them through the veil, now bearing a scroll. And last, Uriel, with eyes like galaxies, holding silence itself in his breath. They formed a circle around Elior. He trembled. "Why, are you all here?" Michael spoke first. "Because, Elior, it is time." Raphael unrolled the scroll. "From the beginning of time, a soul is chosen every 1,000 years. A child who remembers. Who resists. Who redeems." Gabriel continued, "This soul is offered what few mortals ever are, a path not merely to heaven, but into its service, fully." Uriel stepped forward. "You have touched earth, and awakened it. You have sung the song of light where shadows reigned. You have entered the veil and returned with another soul. You are ready." Elior's voice cracked. "Ready for, what?" Mira knelt before him. "To become one of us." A beat of silence passed. Not dramatic. Sacred. Elior felt the weight of eternity pressing in. "Will I leave my friends?" "Yes," Uriel answered. "In form. But never in essence." "Will I still remember more than ever?" Gabriel said. "You will remember every tear. Every laugh. Every whisper from a child." "Can I say no?" Michael smiled. "The greatest sign of your worth, is that you can." Elior looked down at his hands. Calloused from climbing trees. Scarred from play. He thought of Layla's fierce heart. Of Mira's healing touch. Of Jalen's courage. Of Tomas's smile. Of Micah's first moment of safety. He thought of the old tree. Of his mother's lullabies. Of sunlight in spring. "I love this world," he whispered. "You were meant to," Mira said. Then he looked up. "But I want to protect it, more." He stood. And nodded. "I accept." In that instant, the angels surrounded him. Their wings folded over him like a chrysalis of glory. The tree shook. The wind returned. And the entire sky blazed like the birth of creation. When the light faded, Elior was gone. But a single feather, woven with gold, light, and memory, remained where he once sat. Layla found it the next morning. She held it to her heart and wept. But they weren't tears of loss. They were tears of remembering. Because somehow, they all knew. Years passed. But the old tree never died. More children came. Some saw visions. Others heard music in silence. Some simply felt safe. Layla became a teacher of lost children. Mira opened a healing home. Jalen became a protector of others. Tomas painted until his last breath, each painting lighting candles in strangers' hearts. Micah built shelters for children without names. They called themselves the Circle of Light still. And every year, on the same night, the sky shimmered for one breathless moment. And someone would always whisper, Elior is watching. In a distant realm, beyond stars, beyond time. A childlike figure with wings walked beside Miral. He wore no crown. Only kindness. Only knowing. Elior had become the angel of the remembered. Tasked not with grand battles, but with whispers. He was the angel who brushed away a child's nightmare. Who gave courage before a first step. Who hummed lullabies to infants in their final moments. He never stopped being a child. He simply became eternal. Centuries will pass. Empires will fall. Technology will rise. Belief will waver. But wherever a child sits quietly beneath a tree and stares into the sky. Wherever one little soul believes, despite the noise. Elior will be there. Listening. Smiling. Whispering, you are loved. You are seen. And you are never, ever alone. Because the connection between angels and children was never broken. It only needed to be remembered.